Good evening and welcome to the Roseville City Council meeting of January 21st, 2026. I'll turn it over to our attorney to report action taken in closed session.
Mayor, tonight council met in closed session with legal counsel to discuss one piece of existing litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9. The case was Shannon Killian et al. Versus City of Roseville et al. For the record, it was Sacramento County Superior Court case number 23 CB 010663. The council heard a report, provided direction to legal counsel, and there is no reportable action. For the record, the meeting adjourned at 5:54 p.m.
Thank you. And with that, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Welcome you all to our temporary city council chambers. We will be here for the next several months, so thank you for your flexibility. We know it's kind of tight in here. And with that, I'd like to ask our clerk to please read the roll.
Great. We'll start a roll call with Vice Mayor Albert.
Here.
Councilmember Haldeshelt.
Here.
Councilmember Mendoza.
Here.
Councilmember Cucci.
Here.
And Mayor Bernasconi.
Here, thank you. I would like to ask Roseville High School Principal Ashley Sarin and her son James if they would please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great job, James. Thank you. I'd like to ask our clerk to please announce the meeting procedures.
Great. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the City of Roseville City Council meeting. Agendas are at the corner just as you enter at the door or on our city's website online. All comments from the public should be directed to the city council members and not to any staff member or the public. All speakers must speak from the podium as this meeting is being recorded tonight. Please note that due to streaming from a temporary location outside our regular city council chambers, we will expect a brief lapse in time from one item to the next while calling for public comment. We look forward to returning to our city council chambers in spring of 2026 and appreciate your patience and understanding as we work through and ensure a smooth experience while in this temporary location. For items that are not on the agenda tonight, members of the public may address the city council regarding any item that is not listed on the agenda and within the subject matter jurisdiction of our city council. Public comment is limited to 25 minutes in this very first segment, with each speaker being provided 3 minutes to express their comments. If the time limitation is reached in our first segment, each individuals will have a second opportunity at the end of the meeting just prior to council comments to express any concerns to the council. The Brown Act does prohibit our city council from discussing, debating, or taking action on items that are not listed on tonight's agenda. For the items that are on the agenda, the Brown Act does allow for a member of the public to make a comment on any item that is listed, and all items that are listed for that matter. Speakers will have 5 minutes to express their comments on the item that is being discussed and considered tonight. Time will be monitored, and once the red light begins to flash at the podium, we ask that the speaker please conclude their comments. The City Council encourages public participation and requests that you please be courteous during our meeting. Lastly, if making comments tonight, please consider stating your name for the record. And with that, welcome to the City of Roseville.
Thank you, Carmen. Okay, the first item on our agenda tonight is the Roseville Chamber of Commerce splash proceeds. I'd like to ask you to come forward. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor Bernasconi and City Council. My name is Ann Carpenter, and I'm here tonight with Ananda on behalf of the Roseville Chamber of Commerce. In September of 2025, the Chamber hosted its 29th annual Splash event. It was attended by over 1,000 people with about 54 restaurants and beverage vendors. It was, fun, great evening. We had some familiar restaurants and beverage vendors along with some new ones, which was kind of exciting, new restaurants coming into our area. It was a great night of food and fun, and the event just can't happen without our sponsors, so we'd love to thank them. As one of the co-chairs of the event, I get to partner with many great volunteers and city staff to put on a successful event. It is a team effort, and it's definitely become something that people look forward to every year. And I'm going to hand it off to Ananda, and she's going to talk a little bit more about the funds.
I'll just make my
my remarks really brief because, to be honest, this event was my introduction to Roseville, and quite an introduction it was, with over 1,000 people from the community. But really, this event couldn't be possible without the city and our coaches, Alicia and Ann Carpenter, as well. So I am here with the check of $20,000, and I'll have Alicia talk a
And
little
not
bit
to
more.
share who you are.
Me. I am Ananda. Sorry, I'm
We know, but let
Roseville, embassy of the Roseville Area Chamber of Commerce. And then I'd like to bring up Alicia, talk a little bit more about where the proceeds will be going.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Alicia Moyer, and I'm a recreation supervisor with the City of Roseville Parks, Recreation, and Libraries. On behalf of PRL, I would like to sincerely thank the Roseville Area Chamber of Commerce and the Roseville City Council for your continued support of Splash each year. Events like Splash, the Turkey Trot, and Mayor's Cup play a critical role in supporting community access to PRL programs through our scholarship program. This program was created to assist underserved families within the Roseville community. In 2025 alone, PRL awarded more than $36,000 in scholarships to 183 Roseville residents. The scholarship program also includes our Operation Swim initiative. Since 2011, Operation Swim has provided more than 3,500 swimsuits and towels through boutique nights at Johnson Pool, our traveling boutique, and the scholarship program itself. In addition to receiving a swimsuit and towel, families can use their scholarship funds for swim lessons. Since 2023, scholarship families have invested more than $34,000 towards swim lesson participation. The unwavering support of the Roseville Chamber and these signature events allows PRL to continue giving back to our community by expanding access and participation across our programs. We are incredibly grateful for your partnership and continued support. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
We are very grateful for your support, and I have the check, so I wanted to see Mayor Bernasconi. Do I give you the check, or who would be receiving the check for tonight? Okay, oh, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you. The next item before us is the Roseville High School varsity football team. And if you want to meet me at the podium, maybe the coach will share with the audience why you're all here this evening. And maybe your principal, whomever, or your team for that matter.
You just tell us where you.
Four captains, is that what
These
you
are our four captains, yes, selected by their teammates.
Okay. Well, if you hadn't heard, well, you will be hearing the big news about why the football team is here, but we wanted to just share in your excitement with winning the championship, first time done in more than 35 plus years. I know you have a lot to say about that, but I'll ask my colleagues to join me in reading portions of the resolution. We'll start with Councilmember Howshout.
Whereas Roseville High School has a proud tradition of excellence in academics, athletics, and character development, and the Roseville High School Tigers football program exemplifies these values through commitment, teamwork, and perseverance, and
whereas the Tigers varsity team embraced a culture rooted in toughness, both physical and mental, commitment to one another, and relentless competitiveness, collectively defined by the team as grit, a standard the players upheld week in and week out, and
whereas for the first time in school history, the Tigers varsity team advanced to the Northern California Bowl game, earning the opportunity to compete for a state championship and further solidifying their place in Roseville High School athletic history, and
whereas the Tigers varsity team concluded the season ranked 141st in the state of California, 22nd in the Sacramento-San Joaquin section, and 8th in the Sacramento Bee's final regional rankings, reflecting their standing among the elite high school football programs in the region. And
Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Roseville, California, that Roseville High School Tigers varsity football team, its administration, its coaches, student athletes, and supporters be recognized and commended for winning the Sacramento-San Joaquin Section Championship, for achieving historical milestones during the 2025 season, and for representing the City of Roseville with distinction, grit, and Tiger pride. We're thrilled for you. We know this is a coach ranking sports is what drives many students to come to school. It's not even what happens on the field, it's what's happened off the field in locker rooms, and we could not be more proud of you all. So if you want to say a few words, and I'll turn it over to you, Coach, but this is yours. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having us. They're gonna laugh, and Mayor Bernasconi said I should be brief, and I say that at the end of the practice, and the guys will be brief, and 10 minutes later I'm still talking, but I promise I'll be brief. First off, I want to thank you for having us, class of 26. We talk about leaving the program better than when we got there, and they've clearly done that, winning a section championship. We had 49 guys on our team, and I think 31 seniors, and just a tremendous group of young men. They're really, really good football players, but they're better human beings, and I could say that 1 through 49. We couldn't have done this without the support of Principal Saren. She's an amazing leader for our school and our community. And lastly, this community is such an amazing place to live and raise our kids. My 2 little girls, they'll be Tigers. They're Caseburg Hawks and Bulljon Bulldogs. And the last step was trying to reduce the amount of money that it would cost for our guys to get section championship rings and hoodies and all the stuff that goes with it. And we've had some really generous donations, and we've exceeded the goal of $17,500, and we're up to $19,500 donated by the city in support of these young men and the coaches. And I just couldn't be more thankful that you invited us, and just proud of these guys. I can't wait to watch them thrive in life, and we're gonna finally wrap this season up next week at our awards banquet, and then 4, 5, 6 weeks later, we'll get some rings on these fingers. So it'll be really, really awesome. So thank you so much for having us.
And when you say donated more than 17,000 by the city, you mean by all of the community members, by parents,
Yes,
alumni?
not out of the budget.
Yeah, just want to be really clear about that.
Not the splash check that just coming over the football program. No, there's been 2 really, I don't know if they want me to say their names publicly, but there's been 2 really big donations financially from local businesses, and then about $6,750 on GoFundMe through alumni, family, friends, supporters. So it's been
Excellent.
pretty.
We're
been
super
pretty big.
proud of you.
So thank you.
And I don't know how to follow that necessarily. This is the hard work of our coach and our players and our student athletes. It is truly an honor to be here while the city of Roseville is honoring our high school. And so thank you so much for this opportunity for doing that. I remember being out there over summer, and I was working over summer, and these guys were on the field, and they were working over summer in that 100-something degree heat all the way to where we are now. But I just couldn't be more proud of you guys. I could not agree more with what ranking says. You are phenomenal athletes, but you are even better human beings. And it is that level of role model that you just demonstrate whenever you walk around campus. And it's just a huge part of what has created such a positive culture here at Roseville High School. So I'm so proud, and if I stay up here longer, I'll cry, and that is not what football players do. So I'm going to sit down. Thank you very much.
And with that, we know that we didn't have room for your entire football team, so please convey how happy we are with your performance and on and off the field. And I'll just turn over real quickly. Do your boys want to say anything?
I think we're good.
Okay.
I think you covered it.
What was the winning play?
It came down to the wire. It came down to offense marching down the field with Mason leading us.
Mason, why don't you take them through our final drill?
Well, if you're going to do that, quickly go to the podium so we can all hear you. And you can share this with your teammates.
Set the scenario.
There you go.
All right.
You can share it. This is on YouTube, so you can share it. So
Name and
this is our
position.
quarterback.
Mason Cisnera, quarterback. Yeah, it was a really crazy experience. I mean, going in there, it's probably the biggest stadium many of us probably played in. I mean, Sac City, Horseshoe, stuff like that. But going down the field, we had a couple plays, here and there, but we got them down in chunks. It came down to the end. Austin Chang, he's a kicker, and he played multiple other sports and won other sections. He's very clutch, and he got us the game winner, and that's how we won it. Yeah. Yep.
Congratulations.
Cool.
Congratulations. Yeah. So, yeah. You're all free to go. We have a meeting that we have to continue with, so you're welcome to stay. But if you're going to leave, now would be your time to go. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, go Tigers. Okay, now is the time for our first public comment. If there's anyone here tonight that would like to make a public comment, here is your opportunity to do so. Do we have any yellow cards? Okay. Is there anyone, just come forward. There you go.
Hi, Jennifer Chapman. I just wanted to address, again, this kind of relates to something on the consent calendar roughly, which is the fair political practices and conflict of interest topic. I think it's your item 19, but I'm not really commenting on your approval of administrative change, but I'm just trying to say that, I've said this before, the bylaws, the city has a conflict with all the funding and support that it provides to this organization. It's thousands of dollars of regular funding every year. It's facilities and event space. I believe it's a lot of staff time. And it's just to point out that all of the city council members, I think, or at least most, are involved in your local neighborhood associations. And I just feel that you really need to, be involved in looking at these bylaws that basically create two classes of residents and don't give an equal vote to people that are in multifamily rental, facilities. And I just am encouraging you to, take a look at it and participate in that way in your neighborhood associations. And I also just feel that to continue the support without doing so is a conflict of interest. I went through activation of mine recently, and there was no transparent nominations process. It's a kind of a self-selected group. There's a whole series of meetings that goes on that the neighborhood isn't invited to. And it's just not the process that I think that you, as elected officials and people that represent the whole city, would really want to have. So I just am asking you to take an interest in it and consider how much support the city does give to this organization. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else here tonight who would like to make a public comment? Now would be your time to come forward.
If it's public comment on the consent agenda item, do I do it now? No.
Okay, if there's no other public comment, I'll close public comment now. We will have one at the end of the meeting as well. So that brings us to our consent calendar.
Great, thank you. So tonight on consent, we do have several items. Items on the consent calendar are considered routine in nature and approved by one motion of the city council. An item may be pulled by the city council member, a staff member, or the public. At this time, we have no request to pull an item either from a city council member or staff, but we do have a request to pull item number 5 from a member of the public. Is there any other item that the public would like to pull for tonight's discussion? Okay, seeing no more on consent. Tonight for consideration, the city council will consider consent calendar items 3, 4, and 6 to 25. Can I get a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor with a second. We'll start a roll call with Vice Mayor Elbert.
Yes.
Councilmember Haldeshelt.
Yes.
Councilor Mendoza.
Yes.
Councilmember Rakucci.
Yes.
And Mayor Bernasconi.
Yes.
Let me pull item 5. So item number 5 is the Fairway Drive and Junction Boulevard Arterial Resurfacing Project. This is an award of construction contract and budget adjustment. The request was made to pull this item for further discussion. I know there are comments that are going to be made, but I don't know if you want to maybe start off with a presentation or just. Do you want to pull?
Yeah,
Yes,
let's-
go ahead. This is item number 5.
Good evening, City Council. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak on this consent item. I've had the opportunity to speak with council members and staff over the last 7 to 8 months, really about a broader request that our older neighborhoods in the city of Roseville receive the necessary maintenance. And that, those of us who have been here for so long and love the city of Roseville, we're so excited about all of the growth. We want to continue to see the growth and the thriving in our new areas, as well as continued thriving and maintenance in our existing areas. So I'm really excited to specifically today talk about this maintenance project or this public works project on specifically Junction. I know this is talking about Fairway and Junction, I'm in the Caseburg-Kingswood Neighborhood Association area, and I live off of Junction. So this project goes from Washington to Foothills, and I can appreciate the fact that we are doing maintenance on our roads. And my understanding is that we are also doing some updates to our crosswalks and our curb ramps to said crosswalks. My request would be that we do the whole needed public works update on that road. So if we're going to update the curbs that go into the crosswalk, that we're also fixing the sidewalk problems attached to that curb ramp. So we know that there are sidewalk problems. We're an older part of the city. The trees grew, the roots disrupted the sidewalks, and now we have hazards. And I know that these projects can't come around all the time. So this feels like a really pragmatic and cost-effective time to make some of those needed upgrades to, or really not upgrades, but basic maintenance to those sidewalks, to the transportation along Junction. I had an opportunity to talk with some neighbors. I myself am walking all the time on those roads. Our neighborhood, we're gonna be walking to Caseburg. My daughter will be starting there next August. I have a double buggy with twins. I'm constantly walking up and down those roads, so I'm familiar with the sidewalk needs. I also had a chance to speak with a neighbor of mine who said that he has a hard time with accessibility. He said that the parts of it make walking with a cane incredibly difficult. He also asked if the upgrades to the crosswalk would include the audible signals, because that's something that we want to make sure we're providing in our older neighborhoods, not just in our newer neighborhoods. So if I were to summarize my public comment today, it's not just the general request that we advocate just as hard for the neighborhoods that have been here for many years, but specifically that when we're going to spend millions of dollars on a project, can we include the sidewalks with the ramp the sidewalk is attached to? Because it seems more fiscally responsible to do that than to come back afterwards and do piecemeal projects. So that's my request for accessibility upgrades to be included in this, and hopefully, you know, you might not be able to fully change the bid. I know it's an RFP. I wish this had been included in the original RFP scope in August, but I think if this work is happening in April, hopefully we can get some additions to it, some line items, so at least the work is done in a cost-effective, pragmatic way to people traveling. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wants to speak to this item, number 5? Okay, we'll close public comment. Oh.
Good evening, Mayor Bernasconi and members of the council. I'm Stephanie Keeman, your Assistant Public Works Director. I'm here to speak on item number 5. This item is a request to approve budget adjustment and award the construction contract to McGuire and Hester for Fairway Drive and Junction Boulevard arterial resurfacing project. This project will replace failed sections of asphalt pavement, resurface and replace signal detection within pavement repair sections of the segments, which Fairway Drive and Junction between Foothills and Washington. This project will replace the curb ramps, which is a federal ADA requirement for all of our resurfacing projects, and that's why ADA curb ramps are included in resurfacing projects. The project does not address sidewalks within the corridors because we have a different program to prioritize sidewalk repairs and reconstruction than to prioritize our pavement rehabilitation. We do very quickly mitigate any offsets or hazards that we are made aware of with temporary repairs, and then we plan for permanent repairs with other projects based on priorities, other sidewalk projects, and funding available in that program. And then those are holistic sidewalk-only projects where contractors go out and replace segments of sidewalk throughout the city, again, based on priorities and funding available in that program. Regarding the audible push buttons, we take those on request. So when we do new CIPs, they are installed. We do not look to include them on our resurfacing projects, but we have operating budget set aside to install those where they're requested by members of the public. So with the request tonight, I'm happy to open up a traffic study to log it, and we will be able to install that separate from the project to look at that in that neighborhood. And I am available to answer any other questions about the project that you might have.
Excellent. Does council have any questions of Stephanie?
Just had one question. You mentioned, you said it, it's gone through my brain. The curb
Yeah.
on the sidewalk.
The curb ramps
Curb
that allow
ramps.
for crossing the now newly resurfaced roads have to be reconstructed to current standards using our resurfacing funds as a federal requirement.
So I looked at the August agenda item we had and the project manual. Looks like there's 20 in there. Is that correct?
That may include junction and fairway
Good
improvements.
point. Yeah,
Yes.
thank you very much. Okay. Yeah, I was trying to find locations for them, so. Okay, that was my only question.
Okay, any other questions of council?
No, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. On item number 5, the City Council will consider the recommendation to adopt resolution number 26-007, approving an agreement by and between the City of Roseville and McGuire and Hester, and authorizing the city manager to execute on behalf of the City of Roseville. And B, adopt the Finance Authority Resolution number 26-1, authorizing amendments to fiscal year 2025-26 budget. And also adopt ordinance number 7031, authorizing certain amendments to the fiscal year 2025-26 budget, and declaring this ordinance to be immediately effective as an appropriation measure. With that, may I please have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor with a second. We'll start a roll call with Vice Mayor Alvord.
Yes.
Councilmember Haldeshell.
Yes.
Councilmember Mendoza.
Yes.
Councilmember Rakucci.
Yes.
And Mayor Bernasconi.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you both. Okay, the next item before us is council discretionary funds request from Pride Industry.
Thank you. So item number 26 is a request. So the city council did receive a request for council discretionary funds from Pride Industries in the amount of $2,500 for sponsorship to support their 60th anniversary gala to be held on February 28, 2026 at Pride Industries Roseville headquarters. This event supports 60 years of inclusion, innovation, and impact. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I apologize, and I have it here in red. I apologize. So our council member, Vice Mayor Alvord, needs to recuse herself as she has a conflict as a result of her employment with Pride Industries. So the record will reflect that she will not participate in the discussion and the vote and will be leaving our room. Thank you. So trying to get you guys through the next item. I'm sorry. Okay.
We need a code of silence in here, right? Put 'em in a.
Behind the ropes.
Thank you. Okay, with that, again, Pride Industries, Roseville headquarters will host the 60th anniversary gala. And this is their 60 years of inclusion, innovation, impact, and bringing together leadership change to the community that supports it. This concludes my report. Tonight, we do have Ms. Tracy Snyder from Pride Industries in attendance, should the council have any further questions.
And just to reiterate, the council receives a budget of $15,000 annually, and we receive requests in excess of that. So we have the ability to, throughout the fiscal year, we have $15,000 really to provide to nonprofits. So welcome.
And Mayor, our balance is $11,321 if we
Yes.
fund this one. Is that right?
This is our current amount. If you fund it, then you'll have to deduct that amount.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll turn it over to you.
Yes, I'm Tracy Snyder. I'm the Director of Philanthropy at Pride Industries. It's nice to meet you all. Thank you for having me. It's hard to believe it's been 60 years for Pride Industries here in Roseville, and we're so thankful for being able to be here. This gala will include the Honorable Tony Coelho, who is going to be present in receiving a Lifetime Achievement Award. He's the primary author of the American with Disabilities Act. And so we're really proud to have him. And our MC will be a Roseville resident, Alicia Anderson, who's a TEDx speaker. And I'm here to answer any questions. The $2,500 is for a table at the gala. It includes 8 seats and also 2 seats for underwriting basically one of our employees with a disability and their guest. So, and I would be amiss not to tell you that Kat Madru, who many of you know, is our Public Relations Director and a longtime supporter of all things Roseville. She wanted to be here tonight to encourage me and join with you all, but she has non-negotiable grandma duties this evening, which some of you can relate to. And if she could be here tonight, she said she would reiterate what I've said about Pride Industries' decades-long dedication and commitment to the city of Roseville, and what an honor it would be for the city to be at our gala and celebrate 60 years of inclusivity. So I'm here to answer any questions that you guys may have about Pride Industries or about the gala on the 28th.
Did you say where the funds would go, what you're raising money for?
So we're raising money for moving forward for another 60 years. Our Innovation Center, we have a new cybersecurity plan that goes through Sierra College to train cybersecurity professionals and get them in one of the only industries that has like a 0% unemployment rate. And moving those people through those systems and moving through the next 60 years of innovation through Pride Industries.
Thank you. Any questions of the council? Okay, seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So the request is $2,500 from our council discretionary funds. Oh, okay, yeah. Is there anyone else who would like to comment on this item? Now would be your time to come forward. Okay, thank you. The request before us is $2,500. Our balance is $11,000. We have a second request on the table tonight as well. Any thoughts from the council on that amount or sponsorship?
I support that amount.
Well, I'm looking at two ways. You don't have a 60 years event very often, so that's true. Do we really want to do 2,500 or 2,000 or, I'm just thinking because we're the 11,000, that's all. But
Can I add information? Is that okay?
If you want to come up.
Yeah, sure.
So like you mentioned, it's not an annual event. This is something that we do. This is the only one. I will tell you, just to your point, $2,000 would still sponsor a table of 8. That additional $500 would truly just be to underwrite one of our employees with disabilities and their guest. So there is an option there, so to your point.
And I think to Pauline's point, we want to be able to support everybody and every nonprofit, but we only have so much money that lasts throughout the year. So thanks for being understanding. So there's a thought around 2,500, potentially 2,000. Is there, do we have a consensus on what we would like to do here? Or if anyone would like to make a motion?
I'll move 2,500.
Can we get a second on the 25?
Even if if we did 2,500, and there's another 500 on the table, and then, I didn't see it here, I know the mayor in the past has asked, and I think we've had it in the past, sort of to project to July 1st when the funds get, when we get 15,000 more into the funds, how much more coming down the road is there, I guess? Sorry to spring that on you. I know you had it at a previous, last fall, but.
Well, I think part of that is like, we never know what's going to happen, what's going to come down.
We do know, right?
Well, if there's annual events, but they still have our discretionary if we want to fund it or not.
Sorry, I should have done my homework, because we did have a projection on what would be coming to us between now and July 1st, so. And I'm frustrated with myself for not having that information in front of me, because I should have looked at it.
If I may, I mean, while I can't do it on the spot, I mean, I could certainly look at what we've gotten in the past, balanced against what we have today, bringing us through the fiscal year. But as I sit here today, I don't know that answer.
Yeah, I don't know offhand either, but maybe.
And to your point, there may be some, like Sober Grad Night, we know is coming, and there'll be some
Right.
other ones that will come. But then there's some new ones. But we can estimate.
Yes. So we have a motion on the table for 2,500, and is there a second for that? Or lack of a second, the motion dies? Okay. Does anyone else want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we would give them $2,000.
Okay.
I'd be okay with it too.
Is that a second? Is that a
Yes,
second, Tracy?
yes,
Okay.
Mayor, sorry.
So we'll do a motion. Okay. So on item number 26, the city council will consider the recommendation to consider the request for $2,000 sponsorship from council discretionary funds for Pride Industries 60th Anniversary Gala. We have a motion on the floor with a second. We'll start our roll call with the record will reflect that Vice Mayor Albert is not present for the discussion of the vote on this matter. Councilmember Haudashelt?
Yeah, sure.
Councilor Mendoza?
Yes.
Councilor Rakucci?
Yes.
And Mayor Bernasconi?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Congratulations.
Can someone grab Councilmember?
Oh, yes.
I'll do it.
Thank you.
I'm walking up there.
The next item before us is also another council discretionary funds request from Spanger Elementary Parent Teacher Club.
Okay, so we did receive a second council discretionary fund request for $500 for sponsorship from the council discretionary funds for Spanger Elementary's Parent Teacher Club to support its annual pancake and PJ community fundraiser to be held on March 19th, 2026. The proceeds from this event will help to upgrade their 20-year-old book room, which provide classroom sets for all grades and levels to support reading instruction. Tonight, this concludes my presentation, but we do have Ms. Sabrina Melhorn, which is the president of Spanger Elementary PTC. Should the council have any more questions?
Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Thank you so much. My name is Sabrina Melhorn. I'm here on behalf of the Spanger Elementary Parent Teacher Club, and we're requesting $500 in discretionary funds to support our annual Pancakes and PJs event. Pancakes and PJs is a annual event that we host every March, where families come together. They all wear their PJs, and the teachers actually cook the pancakes on site, fresh for everybody. And then we have a big raffle, so we get lots of raffle prizes, mostly gift cards from local businesses to raffle off, and then people buy tickets, and that's how we raise the funds. And so for the $500 would be used to purchase all the pancake ingredients and all the fixings and that we need to make the pancakes and to serve. And then covering these basic costs will allow us to 100% of the funds we raise to go towards our book room, our 20-year-old book room, which has very outdated books, which are no longer students' interests, for example. They don't cover all the grade levels anymore, not all the reading levels as well. And so we would like to upgrade that. Last year, we've done it for 3 years now, the Pancakes and PJs, and we've had a steady increase of funds over the years that we raised. Last year, we had a little over $3,300 that we raised. So, and there's a different cause every year that we use this money for the school.
Thank you. And as I recall, the school received funding last year from the council discretionary funds. I'm remembering that. Does anyone remember that?
I don't think we did.
I don't think so. I don't remember them coming.
Okay.
I think it was the grants program.
Maybe sounds familiar.
The grants program,
It was the
yes.
grants program.
Mhm.
Okay. And I think they received funding from the grants program.
Yes, that was for our outdoor classroom.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you. Any questions?
Yes,
Of our
what have you
guests?
raised so far to date for this?
No, everything will be raised on the day of the Pancakes and PJs event.
You haven't raised anything this?
No.
Okay, thank you.
No.
Any other questions of our guests? Okay, thank you very much for that information. Any discussion? Oh, anyone else like to comment on this item?
Just would be helpful, since to some of the background on this sort of source of funds, and since you've already allocated some of it, and then maybe, Dom mentioned that there's some anticipated ones. I mean, just to get a bigger sense of, what has already been allocated for and what's, typically used. It's,
All different.
it doesn't sound like there's any kind of call or deadlines that people can make requests all year, but that maybe they run out at some point in the year. I just feel, I don't think there's anything in the agenda packet about the background on the funds, and that's all. So that would be helpful. And maybe you can just summarize what's already been spent, if it's 15 and it's down to 11, just for background.
Yes, and for background, we are at 11,300, and we just gave 2,000, so now we're at a little over $9,000.
But what was spent already?
We start with 15.
But what was it given to?
Oh,
Yeah, we're, public comment, we're just allowed to hear your comment, we're not allowed to any back and forth, but, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, so any thoughts, or, I'll just say that, we want to be able to support all of our schools, but the reality is that we probably have, 35, 40 schools in our community, so it does put us at a challenge if they all come to us with funding, and then we're having to pick who we want to support. I know we are able to give money for Sober Grad and for high school senior scholarship program, which eventually all of the students within Roseville would benefit from that over time. So I'd just like for my colleagues to consider that, and nothing to do with this particular school, but it would put us at a challenge if we have others that are coming to us for these amounts too.
And how many junior highs do we have about?
I believe
Probably
there's
5?
33 elementary schools, which would include junior highs, last count. So I think the mayor was accurate, between 33 and 35
Okay.
elementary and middle
Also
school.
high schools between.
Yeah, there's more with high school.
Between,
Yeah, the high
between
schools
our Dry
plenty.
Creek, Eureka,
Center.
Roseville City Center.
Yeah.
Yep. Any,
I had similar concerns.
okay. Okay. Anyone else? Does anyone want to make a motion or lack of a motion? Okay, I'm not hearing anyone who strongly want to make a motion, so unless anyone differs, we'll move on. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Okay. Okay. The next item before us is item 28, Development Impact Fee Reports for fiscal year, which ended June 30th, 2025.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members.
Good evening, there you are.
We
all the room will shift.
I'm Scott Fitzgerald, Finance Director, and this evening I'll be presenting an informational item on the city's Development Impact Fee Annual Report, which is required annually under Government Code Section 66006. And this reporting requirement comes from California Assembly Bill 1600, also referred to as AB 1600, or the Mitigation Fee Act. The Mitigation Fee Act sets statewide rules for how cities track, collect, and report on their development impact fees that are codified in Government Code Section 66000 through 66008. For some background, development impact fees are charges imposed on new development to help fund the public facilities and infrastructure needed to support the growth. These fees are based on a legally required nexus study and are intended to ensure that new development pays its fair share of growth-related costs, rather than those costs being borne by existing residents. In Roseville, development impact fees are generally collected at the time a building permit is issued and are used to mitigate the impacts of new development on the city's infrastructure. These fees fund the acquisition, construction, and improvement of public facilities needed to support that growth. And this slide provides several examples of the types of development impact fees currently in place in the city. The Mitigation Fee Act requires any local agency that imposes development impact fees to prepare an annual report providing specific information about those fees. And the report must be made available to the public within 180 days following the end of each fiscal year and is prepared for each applicable fee. The reporting requirements include a brief description of each fee, the fee amount, beginning and ending fund balances, fees collected and interest earned during the year, and identification of the public improvements that are funded by those fees. The city has made these reports publicly available on our website within that 180-day time frame. So this concludes my presentation on the Mitigation Fee Act, or AB 1600, and our annual reporting requirements. It is an informational item only and requires no city council action. And this concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you, Scott. Does the council have any questions for Scott?
No.
Okay, I'll open up to public comment. Is there anyone here tonight that would like to comment on this item? Now would be your time to come forward.
Well, I just,
Good evening.
the other person that spoke about accessibility upgrades, it does seem like with development, there should be triggering some of these, bringing things, up to code, including Americans with Disabilities Act, but it seems like, there's so many traffic and safety things and complexities with more use of bikes and more e-bikes. In fact, the garage, this public garage over here was like a crazy e-bike recreation site last time I was here in the evening. And anyway, it's just managing traffic and traffic safety, and as it relates to ADA uses with mobility, lots of mobility, scooters, wheelchairs, that type of thing. I don't know, it wasn't clear from what I just saw if these fees can go to that, but certainly development relates to traffic and safety. So I would just hope that it can be used for some of those things. Thanks.
Thank you for your comment. Anyone else? Okay, we'll close public comment. As Scott said, it's information only, so thank you for this. Okay. The next item before us is item 29, a park naming policy review. We'll be hearing from our Parks, Recreation, and Libraries Department. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor Bernasconi and members of the council. I'm Jill Geller, your Parks, Recreation, and Libraries Director. With me tonight is Tara G., Park Planning and Development Manager. And we're here to discuss the park naming policy and seek your input and direction for possible revisions. The city has had a park naming policy in place for many years, and it's occasionally been revised throughout the years, with the most recent revision being in 2021. The revision in 2021 consisted solely of a change to the makeup of the park naming subcommittee to ensure Brown Act compliance. So tonight we would like to revisit the makeup of the subcommittee as well as discuss park naming criteria and any other items you wish to discuss. But first we'll ensure everyone's familiarity with the existing policy, and to explain that I'll turn it over to Tara.
Thanks, Jill. The existing policy outlines parameters for name considerations, and these are names after prominent geographical locations such as street names, subdivision names, or adjacent school names. It also can recognize historical or cultural significance or significant individuals. Park names recognizing individuals include several additional criteria, which looks at whether there has been a contribution of land or 50% or more contribution towards the funding of the park's development, volunteer contributions to the betterment of the Roseville community, if they are deceased and are being recognized for the substantial volunteerism toward the quality of life, or they have died in the line of duty as part of city service. The subcommittee makeup consists of the Parks, Recreation, and Libraries Director, Park Planning and Development Manager, a Project Manager, a Parks Manager or Superintendent, PRL staff at large, and a Development Services staff member. With the exception of the Director and the Park Development Manager, the other members of this committee serve a 2-year term, which is staggered to ensure consistency. Finally, advertisement for name suggestions occur annually during the month of July for parks that will be breaking ground that same fiscal year. The subcommittee reviews the suggestions and forwards their recommendation to the Parks and Recreation Commission for consideration. The commission has the opportunity to forward up to 3 names per park to the council for final selection and approval. And the council makes that final approval of those park names. And one final thing, the names not selected for a park will remain active for the following year's choices of names. After their second year of eligibility, the name must be resubmitted. The last round, in July of 2025, we received 25 new suggestions, and the carryover list from 2024 included 20 names. In all, we had 45 name suggestions available for consideration for 4 new parks this year. I'll turn it back over to Jill.
Thank you, Tara. So the parts of the policy that are likely of most interest for revision tonight are the park naming subcommittee and the park naming criteria. So regarding the park naming subcommittee, Tara mentioned that the current composition consists solely of staff from the Parks, Recreation, and Libraries and the Development Services departments. We wanted to offer other options for your consideration, which are on the screen. These include option 1, which is a subcommittee comprised of 1 to 2 council members. Option 2 is a subcommittee comprised of 1 to 3 Parks and Recreation Commissioners. Option 3 is city staff and members of the public. Option 4 is city staff only, which is the current composition. Or option 5 is a combination of council members, Parks and Rec Commissioners, and city staff. Of these 5 options, the first 4 would not be subject to the Brown Act, and the 5th option would be the creation of a new Brown Act body. We welcome your direction on the subcommittee composition. And then regarding the park naming criteria, as Tara mentioned, the current policy allows for parks to be named after prominent geographical locations such as street names, subdivision names, or adjacent school names, historical or cultural significance, or individuals who have provided funding or volunteerism that improves the quality of life in Roseville. PRL has a long history of naming parks, dating back to the naming of our first park, opened in 1907, Ferretti Park. Since that time, we've named an additional 93 parks, and we thought it would be interesting to see what the city's trend has been for park naming over the decades. We didn't name a lot of parks or have a lot of parks in the years between 1907 and 1989, but for those that we did, it was a pretty even split of parks named for people at 56% and parks named per the other criteria that we mentioned at 44%. The 1990s were busy and 21 parks were named. During this decade, the majority of our parks, 62%, were named per the other criteria, and 38% were named for people. The 2000s were another busy decade, with the majority of parks during this time frame being named for people. And from 2010 to 2019, again, most of the parks were named for people. And in the 2020s, it's been fairly even, with 57% of our parks being named per the other criteria and 43% being named for people. Overall, 94 parks have been named since 1907, and 60% of them have been named for people, while 40% have been named per the other criteria, such as geographical location or cultural significance. As you're considering revisions to this policy, it may be beneficial to have a statement in the policy that provides some guidance. Perhaps, in general, we try to find a balance of parks named for people or per other criteria, or a certain percentage of parks named for people or other criteria. Whatever you feel is appropriate. I'm just throwing out some suggestions. The park naming process is a difficult one, and so any guidance that we can provide in the policy is helpful to the park naming subcommittee. I do want to mention that when naming a park after a person, the current criteria has a large focus on volunteerism, as you heard from Tara, and you can again see this criteria on the screen. It states that the individual has contributed a significant amount of land or funding, that they've made significant volunteer contributions to the Roseville community, or that they've died in the line of city service. Many submissions do not highlight the volunteer work of the person. And as previous park naming subcommittees have done their initial review, adhering to this criteria, they've not recommended certain names because the submission focused on the work the person did as part of their job and not their volunteer contributions. So we welcome your direction if you'd like to see a change to the criteria for the volunteer requirement or any of these criteria. We do feel that if volunteerism is a criteria, we will be more specific to request this information on the park naming submission form. So in closing, highlighted on this screen are the 2 areas within the current policy that you may want to revise. You're certainly not limited to just these 2 areas, but these include the makeup of the park naming subcommittee and the park naming criteria. Again, what's on the screen is in the current policy, and you may want to consider revising one area, both areas, or none. You'll also recall that the park naming policy states that the Parks and Recreation Commission may recommend up to 3 names for each park for your consideration. So this might be a good time to consider whether you like that in the policy or if you prefer that number to be higher or lower as far as recommendations that come before the council for your final approval. So at this time, I'll turn it back to the council for your discussion and direction on revisions. We'll take your direction and return to a future council meeting with a revised policy for your approval. And that concludes our presentation. We're happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you both for that. For the discussion, it might be helpful if you turn back to the slide that has the committee makeup options just for our discussion. And I know we have thoughts on this too. I thought we would open it up to public comment first. So is there anyone here tonight who would like to make a comment on this item? Now would be your time to come forward. No one's here for that? Okay. We'll close public comment. We'll get that slide up and turn over to the council for discussion. I think first we talk about.
Madam Mayor, we have a written comment here.
Yeah, that's right. We did get a letter submitted to us today. So the staff's looking for direction in 2 different areas. So maybe the first one that we tackle is how we would want to have the subcommittee makeup. And it's down from staff. Number 4 is our current option, and number 5 would require a Brown Act, so an open meeting, and the rest of these would be committee meetings.
I understand why that's a Brown Act. There's 5 council members and 7 Parks and Rec commissioners. So even at 5, that's not a majority of both bodies.
So there is a case law that says if you take less than a quorum of one legislative body and mix it with less of a quorum with another legislative body, it's a Brown Act committee.
So is there a way around that, Michelle, in terms of then could we have 3 council members or how many of our Parks and Recreation Commission? There's 7 of them?
Yeah, so any combination of council with Parks and Rec Commission is going to be a Brown Act committee, even if it's 1 and 1.
Okay.
So, or if you mix council with members of the public, that's a Brown Act committee. If you mix council with staff, that's a Brown Act committee. Same thing with the Parks and Rec with staff, Parks and Rec with council. So the options are to have, like, you could do 2 council members by themselves, that would be okay. You can do up to 3 Parks and Rec commissioners by themselves, that would be okay. You can have staff with members of the public or just staff. But if you wanna mix bodies and people, you're gonna trigger and make it a Brown Act committee, which is fine, but we'd have to Brown Act it, notice, agenda, public comment, that kind of thing.
So it's not the number, it's the collaboration, that's the issue.
That's correct. And the number does have to be less than a quorum, right? And any combination of what you do. So even if you wanted to do number 5, you would be limited to 2 council members and 3 Parks and Rec commissioners as a max.
And to confirm, city staff now makes the recommendations to the Parks and Rec commissioners, who then make recommendations to the city council.
So the subcommittee is advisory to the Parks and Rec Commission, who's advisory to the city council.
And role of city staff in the selection of the names or vetting of them is probably for duplication. Like, what does staff look for when they are looking through the names?
Yes, we do look for duplication. Again, we look at the criteria and look at the volunteerism that they've done, just to make sure it fits the criteria. All of the names still go before the commission during our presentation, but we make recommendations based on the criteria. And that commission meeting is a Brown Act, where the public has the opportunity to make comment, and then when it comes to you, the same occurs.
Well, Mayor, I'm just going to start off. I like 5, and to pick up, Jill kind of led into where I was going on this. I mean, I know that we have to notice it as a Brown Act, as we've been advised this evening, but these are public parks, they're community parks, and so I think that public comment, I mean, that only seems logical. And as we grow, and I appreciate the slide from our first park to where we are now, I mean, if we're going to be naming these parks as we grow, the entities and contributions, they're all integral, in making Roseville what it is. And so I think it should reflect who we are as a city, and whether we recognize an entity or a person, I believe that should be specific to the time and the park. And I think that the people in number 5, those entities should weigh in on those. Those seem like the most logical, decision makers.
Yeah.
Well, number 5, those people all do weigh in at some point along the process. So it goes to city staff, and then it goes to Parks and Rec commissioners, and then it comes to the council.
Right, they're all now broke out though individually. I think
Right.
that would just kind of bring it together with the public comment, right? Now it would just be a one-stop shop. Is that what I'm understanding?
It would still from there go to the commission.
Yeah.
From this
Right,
commission,
and then it would
it's
come
still going
back
to go
to
to
us.
the commission, still going to come to the
Right.
council. So those people will have ample opportunity to weigh in.
I just like the number makeup on it. That's just my 2 cents.
For me too, is I like the different groups like that. We've done that in the years past. Had council members and that was years past, and I think that was really a good idea. And it was fine with city staff, but I agree that with the parks that we have, I would rather have a mix of people like here to look through the names.
But you still get those mix of people along the way. You have the city staff, and I don't know what that number is, and then you have all of the Parks and Rec, all of the Parks and Rec commissioners hear it, and then all of the council members hear it.
Well, I see what you're saying then, so why are we breaking out 5 then if I see we're all
That's
getting
just
to
a
the same.
larger meeting that has everybody here, and I think that stating the obvious here is that park naming it's one of those small things that become really big, right? And because it becomes like this political and this, popularity contest, and then we're having to weigh different contributions of all very stand-up people, and that's also really uncomfortable,
Yeah, no, that's
too.
fair. That's fair.
So, any thoughts here?
I have a question. So I saw Summerhill Park up there, and I think at Creekview. Are there ever situations in which the park name is automatically there because the builder or the community has asked for that to be the case?
Oh, like mine do.
There has been,
like
like
Indians.
Elliott Park, or
Yeah.
Elliott Homes,
Yeah.
but it still went through the process for official naming and approval.
Because we have a letter here that's suggesting that, that we might have the business community be part of this, and I think that's why I'm asking that question, because I do think that's good input to have. I mean, we've got a 5-star Chamber of Commerce who's very active and been active for 60 years, 70 years, how long, I don't know, long time. So I'm just wondering how we get the business community involved in that as well, along with Parks and Rec and the city council, so.
Yeah. I'd say that a lot of the Parks and Rec commissioners people are from they're residents, they are part of our community. Not to say I would want to not, or preclude them from being involved, but then I think that just further politicizes it with, the potential of, trying to advocate for, a particular, your boss, like we've seen that happen. Too. And this could be something, if we don't have a consensus tonight, this could be something that we visit at our workshop.
I'd
Or
be
is that-
supportive of that.
Yeah, that was not a bad idea.
We're already jammed on that.
I think that's enough.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're all open and we're all very open-minded about this. I mean, it sounds like there's been some desire for number 5, which just makes it a public meeting only with this topic, it sounds like, versus, city staff would come up, do the vetting of it, which is our current makeup now, and then it goes to the Parks and Recreation. They vet it even further, and then they give the council of the 3 options. I think that's happened like per park. So you're still getting everybody to weigh in, but that number 5, it seems like that is that committee specifically for that job is naming of the park. That's going to be a new committee. And naming of it, and our Parks and Recreation commissioners, they do many other things than just name a park, right? So,
Mayor, I'm sorry.
yes.
So the Brown Act aspect of this means that 1 through 3 of the Parks and Rec commissioners could not talk to the remainder of the Parks and Rec commissioners? Because this would be a public meeting, right?
Right. Yes.
So if it were 5, then 2 of the 5 in number 5 could talk to each other.
That's correct.
3 of the 5 could 3 couldn't talk to each other.
3, so the Parks and Rec Commission is 7 members, so less than a quorum is 3.
But I'm trying to understand
So
the
makeup-
Brown Act aspect of it.
So this body would be 5 people, well, I don't know how many people you'd want to put on
Well, let's say
there.
it's 5.
Okay, no staff then? 2 council members, 3 Parks and Rec Commissioners? You want?
Is staff Brown Act?
So if you add staff to that, you can add staff as an official member of this committee. It's still a Brown Act committee, but you can add them as committee members that are voting, or staff can act just like staff.
If they're, an important point I was going to make, even if they're not a part of the committee, this is a Brown Act, will be staffed.
It will be
It'll have to have minutes, we'll have to potentially broadcast it. We'll also have to staff it as a Brown Act meeting, which was one of the original challenges that was brought up when this came. And the other one was the awkwardness of talking through applications on the public, potentially broadcasted, while people are in the audience advocating for the different names. It's not that we want to lack transparency. We're all about transparency and being clear and transparent.
Right.
And as you pointed out, this goes to the Parks and Rec Commission for a public comment, and it goes to the council again for public comment. And so that's why that's how we got here today.
Yes, and so that public discussion, though, already takes place at our, really quick, Michelle, because I know we have students and maybe people, can you just describe real quickly the Brown Act? Because people might not understand what we're referring to.
Brown Act is a California state law that governs how public meetings are ran. And it's called the open meeting law. So it dictates the agenda process, that there has to be public input. It talks about how a majority of the body cannot talk to each other about the subject matter of a meeting outside of a public meeting. So it does not have to be recorded or broadcast. SB 707, which I know council is aware of, is an amendment to the Brown Act that will now require, as of July 1st, that we allow public comment to occur virtually. That does not extend to advisory bodies yet, but I foresee that kind of coming down the future amendment, I wouldn't be surprised if it's the next couple of years. So that is another consideration that will have to be dealt with.
So any Brown Act means that I cannot talk with more than one council member about a particular item on the agenda.
That's correct.
Really, it's all meant for it all to happen publicly.
Councilmember Haldeshot's point, if you go with number 5 and you do 2 council members and 3 Parks and Rec commissioners, only 2 of that body would be able to talk to each other.
Yes.
Outside of a public meeting.
Yes, and that's the way it is now with park naming. If it were to come to the council, it's still Brown Act, and I cannot talk to more than one council member about that topic. Yes.
It's going to formalize this process.
So is there
I do have some
consensus?
comments.
Yep.
And thoughts about it. Because it does seem that in 2021, if we look at like 2020 to 2025, when the commission changed and there was just staff, that we have far fewer names going to the park commission for people, individuals versus,
I don't know that fewer names went to the commission, but the outcome was that fewer names were named after, fewer parks were named after people in the 2020s than were named after
So
the
in the
other
last 5
criteria.
years.
But that wasn't the only decade in which that happened. It happened in other decades when the park subcommittees had different makeups.
I would like to see if we kept with the current composition, that Parks and Rec Commission has more ability to look at options of, for each of the parks, for names, individuals. So I think that having staff do some of the vetting to assure that people qualify, to take some of that burden of, screening. But I would like to see more active, activity at the park commission of really vetting and making the recommendation to council versus what it seems like is more the recommendation goes to the commission, and they can probably change that, but I'd like to see something a little bit different from what we currently have.
So if I may, to that point, item 2, if the makeup of the park naming subcommittee was the commissioners, again, staff would be present at the meeting to present all of the names, to present the policy, but it would be the commission's recommendation. Staff would not be a part of that group, and I don't know if that's getting to the point that you're looking at, Vice Mayor, but then those 3 commissioners would make the recommendations to the full commission, who would then make recommendations to you.
But I would imagine that all of the commissioners would want to have a say in it, right? So the current composition is, just to reiterate, make sure I'm understanding this, is that the city staff now takes all of the names in, they vet in terms of who is qualified, who meets the criteria. They bring all of those names forward, or the Parks and Rec commissioners, they see all of those names.
They see all of the names that were submitted.
Names. And then they make the recommendations to the council on those names.
Correct. And I would see that same process, except for that first group, instead of being staff, as it is now, would be commissioners.
Mhm.
They would make recommendations, but the full commission would still see the full slate of names that were submitted.
I see the benefit of staff vetting because there may be a little bit less bias, but also like if you have planning teams on there, right? So that like there's not, duplicate, like we don't have, 2 Duran parks and like those sorts of like navigational challenges that we avoid. And I think that's probably part of the process. You have a planner on there, I'm assuming.
Yes.
I think that's a benefit.
I think what I understood, though, from this recent one is that it's more than just staff vetting, that the recommendations are being made to the park commissioner.
The Parks and Recreation
So
Commission.
they may see the full list, but it comes with recommendations
Correct.
from staff.
Correct.
So then isn't it staff driving it then, not the commission?
It felt to me like it was more staff-driven with the current composition.
But in the way, I'd love to have 5, but with the Brown Act, that's not going to work out because it just, it would be good to have that, on our last, when it come to council, and we have that, it's gone through Park and Rec, it's gone through different things, and then when it comes to us, in a perfect world, I'd take 5. But I'm thinking that with staff vetting it first, then the Park and Rec going over it again, and then coming to council might be still, a good way to do it.
The Brown Act doesn't bother me as much because I think of our Grants Advisory Commission, who has to independently do their work, and then they have to come together and make a decision. And I suspect that, they operate with well, I'm making an assumption that they operate within the Brown Act, but like, like the Brown Act here, if I talk to the vice mayor about something, I can't talk to anybody else. I think that applies with like grants advisor. So I'm not as concerned about the Brown Act because eventually all the names and recommendations kind of filter up, I think, as the mayor said, through the Parks and Rec, and then to the council. I think and I agree with the vice mayor, it just feels like the initiation should really come from the Parks and Rec commissioners or the council members, or this proposal where you've got the public involved in it, so that the ownership is there.
Can I recommend an option 6?
Please.
I like options.
Yes.
Get rid of the subcommittee and do it just like the Grants Advisory Commission. So you just sparked an
Well, that was
idea. So
helpful
what
tonight.
they do for Grants Advisory Commission is that all the commissioners get the applications in advance. They're not allowed to talk to each other about them. They review them, they score them, they give them to staff that then kind of puts together all the scores. They don't see each other's scores. Then they have a public meeting where they review the scores and they rank and they decide, and then they vote on them. So you could probably we already have that model in place, and that way the whole entire commission would participate in the process, to your point about everyone wanted to participate. And then public comment, of course, will occur there, and then they make a recommendation to the city council, just like they do for grants. Well, that could be another option.
And with grants, does the staff screen out those that
They
don't
do,
qualify
so,
first?
yes, so if you're ineligible, so that goes to the second part of what you need to discuss tonight, is eligibility and criteria. But, for example, with the grants, if they aren't a nonprofit, for example, or they have, a religious grant that's unauthorized by law, then they do screen those out, and those are not presented to the Grants Advisory Commission. They're sent a letter and explain why they didn't meet the criteria. So staff does vet them in advance, and then the remaining ones that are eligible the Grants Advisory Commission gets and reads all the applications.
Are we under any timeline to decide this evening? If we can't come to something that feels good for all of us?
If you don't mind, Jill, I think as someone who stewarded this directly for 3 years, has been involved for 15, I think that not having a pre-vetting process would be for an incredibly long night, and provide for some pretty awkward conversations at that level. A little different than the Grants Commission, which I agree, Councilman House, they're very similar. And so no, I don't think there's a time that we have to do. And I would like, based on the conversation on the committee and the makeup, I would like the opportunity to talk to staff a little bit and maybe bring some other options back. But I still, if it's okay, I would like to talk still about the criteria.
Yep.
Because it would be great to be able to bring both back with some options and ideas based on the conversation.
Yeah. I think that works. I think staff is a really important part of this process, because with our planners, they're familiar with the geographic areas, what's going to be coming to those corners, or that one part, 4 corners, something that we don't know necessarily like the landmarks just yet, but I think that they have an important role. I think our Park and Recreation have an important role, and I think the council has an important role too. So if the council is okay with us talking about having our city manager look into this further and coming back to us, are we okay with that? Okay.
We have 2 items, right?
So the next part of this is the criteria slide. And I guess, do we want to kick this off with providing staff with our thoughts on park naming criteria?
I'll start. I like what we do now. I like that it has both opportunity for people and for geographic areas. And, we have Pistachio Park, we have a lot of different names, and people that did significant different things in Roseville. I like it when I didn't recognize the name and I'd look it up to find out what they did.
Yeah.
I think that's really kind of a nice feeling for me, and I've done that with my grandchildren. this is who they were, and this is why, what they didn't help Roseville. And I think it's more of a sense of community. But I also, if it's, like I said, if there's pistachios or something else in that area, I think certainly, and Four Corners, if it was something like that, I think keep all those options open.
Mayor, if I could ask our staff, has the criteria changed since the naming of Nella Lukin Walkway? Because I thought there was a point in time in which we could not name, maybe it was just facilities and not parks, after a Roseville employee who had maybe retired and made significant contributions. Nella was a unique situation because she did pass away, but.
Which is good planning
Yes,
commissioners.
it has changed, and it's been updated to really focus on volunteerism. But there's also in the policy a caveat, if you will, that gives the council the right to name a park in any way they feel appropriate, given the circumstances.
Okay.
Yeah, I see it's the last paragraph in the policy. For inspiring vision or civic engagement, there's exceptions.
Any other thoughts on criteria? If I can ask that we move to the slide maybe that has a column for people and then the column for the other criteria. We have a few slides about those. Some of the, like Diamond Oaks Park versus the People Park.
Sure, yeah.
For example.
Yeah, so go to.
Just a few things.
Yeah.
I think that we should preserve our ability to name parks after people. I look at that list there, and I can tell you where every one of them is on the right-hand column. They are, Olympus. They have to do with a geographic landmark that I know where they are. I know that we're all civically minded and care, but I don't think the majority of folks, when they're at a park, know who that person is or what those contributions did. A few downsides about naming them after people is as our city grows, geographically and navigation-wise, it's difficult to know. Sometimes there's initials in there. You take Elliott, FC Elliott Park, or you take William, Bill Hughes. It gets cumbersome. There's a couple parks that are named after a couple of people, and I think that becomes challenges. I even some of the parks, there's one by my house that has a name, but we just call it the Diamond Creek Park. I know it's named after Duke Davis, who made significant contributions, but I don't think that there is a huge push for people to know who these parks are named after. We get problems with, pronunciation. We say Shalito and it's Shelito, or we don't know how to say Bayuk, things like that. And then, the other part is that it does become very political, and we're having to make decisions around all of these upstanding citizens, and that's really awkward as well. So I like, actually, parks that are named after their criteria, and it takes nothing away from anybody who has a park named after them. This woman right here to my right. It takes nothing away from them because they make significant contributions, and I've supported that. But I think as our city grows, I would like to see us lean more towards the other criteria, maybe not so much the people. And I know, we've gotten past the part of like really naming parks after our city's founding mothers and fathers. It's more kind of like a popularity contest, or how you pick someone be on your team on a elementary school playground. So not to say that we should not preserve our right to name it after people, but I do think that there is some ease that goes with the other criteria that makes navigation easy. So
what do I do with this application for Bernasconi Park?
I think it's a great honor, but it's not about me. It's about, the names at the park, serve a very small portion of people. It's like their immediate family or their coworkers. It's really a small slice. So I'm not, it's never about that, but it's, I think having a park named after you is a huge honor, but I just think navigation-wise and where we're headed in growth in our city, I'd like for us to be more on the other criteria versus people.
I will say, having served on the park naming subcommittee for several years, that is one of the most difficult decisions. As Tara mentioned, we had 45 submissions this year and 4 parks to name. And with one of the criteria being substantial volunteer contributions, how do you define substantial? And how do you say this person is more deserving than this person? And it's a difficult
challenge.
And as Dawn said, sometimes an awkward process to go through.
Yes, and we get emails, when it comes time for park naming, lots of emails and phone calls advocating, and sometimes it feels like a popularity contest, unfortunately.
People are going to start sharing parks.
There you go.
Or buying them, right, with a
Right.
contribution
Yeah,
if you've got
right.
money, yeah.
That'd be funny.
Any other thoughts from council?
We're not being asked to choose one criteria over another.
I think they're just
It
looking for-
remains, we could do both. I mean, we could have named after people and geographical, right? Now, am I tracking?
You want direction, right?
But direction about, as we
Agreed.
vote on them, the criteria, that it's maybe a percentage or something like that. I don't know what would help you.
Yeah, that was just a suggestion, or in the policy that there's a balance, so whoever the park naming subcommittee knows that's okay, to provide some name, some geographical, or, sometimes if we come forward with one and not the other, they're like, why didn't you consider that?
Yes.
So it's just difficult.
It is, or we name it, and they're like, you named it after that person, too. It's like, that happens as well. Because we all have different measuring, how we measure contributions.
Seems pretty detailed.
So what would help you? Do you want a percentage, preserving both, but, what are you looking for?
I think just we'll bring a policy back for your review, but I think just understanding and hearing your comments that you still support both of them. And so when they're brought forward as such, there would be support for either a geographical or cultural significant name or a person's name.
I think that gives you air cover too, because to everybody's point up here, whether you're on one side or the other, if a community member or somebody comes in with a problem, you can point to this. It's not a popularity contest. It's not one or the other. We're following the policy.
And do you still feel strongly about the volunteerism being a important component for naming after a person? Because like I mentioned, we get several that don't cite any volunteer contributions, so we don't bring those names forward.
Well, maybe if they've done something, I mean, may not,
Yeah.
it might be just different.
Well, I mean, like the grants and everything, I mean, if they don't fill it out right and provide the information necessary to make the decision, I mean, that's not on us. If they're asking to be considered, then they should provide what's needed to make that consideration.
Yeah. And I think we'd want some guidance on what done something means, because I would say that every application we get, they've done something.
Yeah.
But does it meet these standards?
Maybe some more conversation around that. The squishiness is significant.
Right.
When you're reviewing those and evaluate them, I think having a little bit of criteria, I think somebody who volunteered, in coaching for 50 years, right, within the city, has touched a lot of lives and went through that, versus somebody, who served on multiple boards, multiple commissions, the city council, on nonprofits, volunteerism where there's maybe time, right? Maybe there's some criteria to, is it more than a decade? I think that, because I can just speak from personal experience over here, seeing somewhere the volunteerism, not to put down what it was done, but it was thin compared to some of the names that were proposed to it. And there were times where past council members have been critical of some of the names that did get moved forward because there was very little volunteerism to bring with it. And I think that was sort of the shift at that time to, okay, well, let's start bringing some of the different criteria like landmarks and locations. And just not that I have a vote, but I completely agree preserving both. But I think that having a little talk around what significance means, I think would help staff create a better policy.
Has everyone provided input who wants to on this topic? Because it sounds like we're asking staff to come back with park naming, maybe a little bit more specific things that we could get behind what does significant mean, and then the other aspect.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
About the
think
committees.
To Dom's comment, some kind of length of, unless there's an extraordinary circumstance, which allows some flexibility, length of service and legacy service, like you can see their legacy in the,
Yes.
the service that they offered.
Yeah.
And there's also other ways that people can be memorialized too, right? We have our park benches that we have on the parks and trails, which I think are beautiful, and anybody I think they just have to pay for that.
Correct.
Yeah, and I think that's so, okay, are we all good with this? We'll take.
Just one quick thing. When somebody submits a name for a park, is it for that year, or does it have like an award show, have a life of 3 years and you can come back to it?
So the name, when it's submitted, it's pretty much alive for 2 years.
2 years, okay.
And then after the second year, if it's not selected, they have to resubmit. And then resubmitting up to 3 times and not being selected, we no, it says it there, but, after 3 times not being selected, that,
Yeah, thank you, but no thank you.
Yeah.
And the period is closed for those 4 parks now, or no?
Correct.
So my application for Geller is Great Park is not going to be considered this year, huh?
2026.
Okay.
July.
I'm on it.
Okay, so we won't take any action, we'll come back to this. All right, you all good with that? Okay. All right, we will move on. Thank you for that discussion. Okay, so we're at our last public comment. Is there anyone here tonight that would like to make a comment on any item that's not on the agenda? Now would be your time. I think we have some students in the room. Any student questions you want to come forward with? It's our last opportunity for public comment. Okay, seeing none, we'll close public comment. See if our city attorney or our city manager has any comments.
I have nothing, thank you.
No further reports, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Hadashot, do you have any
Can I go last,
reports?
please?
Yes.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor Albert, would you like to go? Start us off, are you good too?
I think I cannot think of any comments at this minute. Take on it.
Well, our first council meeting of the year, yeah, so last time we met was before Christmas, and I know it's been off to a busy start of our calendar year. Councilmember Mendonça, you have anything to share?
No comments, Mayor, thank you.
Okay. Colleen, Councilmember Pucci?
Just a quickie, I spent my morning, or my day with Northern California Power Association in Sacramento, going over electric issues and meeting up with members of our Newsom staff, some of the staff, and on electric issues, and we'll go back tomorrow and do the same thing. That's it. Okay. That's enough.
Okay, we usually meet twice a month. This, in January, it's once a month. So just a few things. I know that a number of us will be at our Roseville Chamber installation dinner next week, where they install their new officers. I think most of us will be at Costco on Friday morning. We're getting our second Costco in Roseville, open to the public at 8 a.m. I hear if you want to be part of the grand opening at 8 a.m., you need to get there really early. I did an interview this morning with ABC 10, who is going to profile, I think, tomorrow, the grand opening. And then I had an opportunity to speak this morning to the Building Industry Association, just an update on what's happening with the city. Lots of things on the calendar, but and with the rest of the council, we'll adjourn, and we'll be back at our next meeting. We'll be here. Oh. Councilmember Howshout.
Did you have comments?
We all said nothing almost, so.
Right.
Yeah, I'm with you. I second everything you said.
You're good?
I'm good.
Okay. Okay, so with that, we want to thank you all for joining us tonight, being patient. We will meet here again February 4th, 2026 at 6 p.m. Thank you.